Hi, this is Alfie Whattam, London's tech recruiter and the host of the London Technology Podcast. Today I'm joined by Glyn Roberts. Thanks for joining us. Could you start by just telling us a little bit about yourself?
Great. Well, thank you for having me on, Alfie. It's great to see the content you've been releasing. So I've been in the tech industry for 15 years now. Started off with a computer science degree from Liverpool University, then was working as a programmer at an agency mainly building e-commerce and football club websites. I then moved to London as a senior developer. I was a co-founder of my own ad tech startup. I was head of platform at health tech, then CTO of an event tech company. I spent the last year and a half working in Portugal in agency. And now I'm back in London again with the wonderful rain as CTO of digital solutions at iTech Arts, where we have about 2,000 developers based in Belarus, which we place into organizations as team augmentation.
Awesome. So you've been in the industry for a while. What advice would you have almost for a younger version of yourself or somebody that's just getting into their tech journey?
So right now, the tech industry is very hard to get into, especially for juniors. I mean, the industry is very rewarding, but just to start with, the technology over the last 15 years has changed so much. It's a lot harder to know everything now as you come out and start entering the market. Alongside the pandemic, where there's a lot of other developers now looking with other companies have had to downsize their teams, juniors will find it hard to get in. So it is a difficult place to be right now. So it's more challenging than it would have been a couple of years ago, or even last year as a junior. So I do feel for you there. So to start off with, from an advice standpoint, your career path, obviously being so junior and coming into the industry right now, for me, I've always found it really useful to be very broad, especially in the initial part of my career, for two reasons. One, that you don't know what you want. You don't know what you are going to be good at, what you're going to enjoy most. And two, as you go through your career and you go into more managerial level, having that broad knowledge is really going to help you. So when you are managing a team, likelihood your specialism isn't going to be the only resources used in that team. You'll have people doing front end, back end, DevOps, security, project management. So trying to start off and get a role which allows you to touch on all these different areas will allow you to streamline your career further, because you'll have a much better understanding of everything going on there. As another bit of advice when interviewing, I'll definitely be asking about who your manager is going to be, whether it's one of the interviewers, and about the team that you'll be working with. The stronger team you have around you, the faster you're going to grow as a developer or whatever role that it is. And it's going to give you more confidence and allow you to scale faster with your career development plan. With that, you need to keep on learning in your free time. You can't rely on any businesses to actually be training you for what your next step's going to be. And my last bit of advice would be, which is what I got about a year into the industry from someone about 5-6 years in. He said, never do the same job for more than 2 years, which was actually really interesting for me at the time. I know now we're much more used to jumping between roles, but back then it was, normally 5-6 years in the same organization. And the reason for this is that if you keep on doing the same thing, you're not growing, you're not challenging yourself. So it doesn't mean you have to always change company. As long as your role changes, your responsibilities change, and that you're still progressing, that's the main thing I'd say you should be looking out for while you're starting off your career journey here.
It's a great point, especially what you mentioned around changing roles. If I see two CVs and one person's been doing the same development job for 10 years and somebody else has been moving up into an architect, then a lead, and then doing this and that, it's obviously much more interesting to, both from a career perspective, but also from a day-to-day enjoyment of the role perspective, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially if you're a developer, it's all about the challenge, the problem solving. If you're no longer problem solving, if you're no longer being challenged, then you are missing out on that growth that you can be doing personally. So by not having that challenge in place, then it's time to start looking for that next role to then keep on challenging you, so you keep on moving forward with your career. Otherwise, you'll find yourself as 15 years experience as just a single developer without any other growth opportunities around you.
Yes, absolutely. So if we were to look into the future, into your crystal ball, are there any technologies which get you interested and excited that you think will have a big impact on the future ahead?
So, I mean, in the sense of for what graduates should be looking at, essentially, because I think this is where this is leading. Essentially, I'm personally less focused on bleeding edge technologies. You rarely use them until they're in a stable sense. So committing your training to just one specific technology is a big career risk for you, because that may not succeed, or maybe it'll be done so easily that that skill set you've learned while it's so new is no longer valuable anymore. Instead, I would focus on cloud solutions like Amazon Web Services, Azure, G Cloud. They provide services for these types of technologies. So be it AI, machine learning, or any of the newer technologies that are coming through, they have these services that are already in a way where if you can utilize them, you're incredibly valuable to any company. So for me, the focus for me would be to focus on the cloud services, what they offer, maybe get the certifications in them as well. Amazon does them, Google does, even Azure does. All the big three offer certifications, and they're difficult certifications. They're very valuable in industry. Your wage will go up as you're going for new roles with these types of experiences and certifications behind you. And essentially, it just gives you such a broad range of all the new technologies that are coming through that are in a stable state where they can be used in production, can be used in real use cases, rather than just the pure R&D aspect where you're trying to optimize some small aspect of some potential future in technology. So for me, if you're looking at that, I'd be focused on the cloud services. Look at video tutorials like A Cloud Guru. They're fantastic. They're a bit expensive, but their video tutorials are fantastic on not only being able to pass the certifications, but actually understanding how the services work and how you could use them in real time.
That's awesome. I mean, cloud, CI/CD, sort of DevOps, and those kind of technologies are so transferable across a number of different roles, as opposed to some of the more bleeding edge technologies, which are here one day, then gone the next day, right? So it's a very good tip.
Yeah, absolutely. The transferable piece, I'd say, is the most important thing that you just mentioned there. Essentially, by understanding how these services work, when you move to a different service, there'll be a lot of similarities in the way they work. So those transferable skills will be incredibly valuable as you go forward in your career.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to get your ideas and insights. That was really useful. So thanks for your time, and thank you to everybody for watching as well.
Great. Thanks very much, Alfie.